Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Couch GMs podcast. It is Thursday, January 25th, 2024. I can't talk on a Thursday. Cody can't put the right graphic in the background. And we have a third face on the screen. Cody Roadcap, Tyler Snyder, here with us. Yeah, it's about the ghost over your shoulder. That's a good catch, actually. Tyler, how have you been?
I'm alive.
I can see that part, so that's good.
It definitely threw me off having three faces on. That's why I messed up the background. I was like, oh wait, what's going on? Is it glitching? Nope. It is just Tyler. But I'm glad to have you back. I have missed you. Even though I don't think you missed me.
I miss you sometimes. Right now is not one of them.
Cody's good on occasion. But apparently he's gotten too much Cody in the 5 minutes pre-show that he's been talking to him already. So we're gonna love how this show goes. As a reminder, new episodes typically every Friday through the Super Bowl. We're hitting you a little bit early this week with some extra content. We got make sure you follow us on our social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at the Couch GMs for even more than you get from the show. And you can always send us a DM with any questions you have, NFL questions, fantasy questions, whatever you are arguing with your friends about and you want us to back you up on, we got you. Just let us know. But guys, a couple of things to hit. Why don't we sit back, relax, and chat? Just like last week, we're going to start off with reacting to the last round of the NFL playoffs, divisional round. Cody, like last week, you just want to go game by game, give a little reaction to each one.
Sure, why not? So let's start with the one you were in attendance at. Texans traveled to Baltimore, and Baltimore got the victory. Tell us a little bit about you were there. What was the game like being in person? I feel like you had the best perspective of all three of us.
I did. It was actually a really good atmosphere. I know, Cody, you've said you've kind of had like it was good but not great before, but they stepped up for the playoffs, so good for them. The biggest thing I think takeaway wise, the Ravens played a solid game, at least in the second half. First half, they started a little slow, which is what we were worried about coming off the bye and the resting the week, starters in week 18. But it looked like the moment was slightly too big for the young Texans team. Like a lot of sloppy mistakes, false starts, delay of games. They showed a lot of flash. I think they're going to be a good team for the future, but I think if you would have expected a game to go a certain way in that situation, like you would have expected it to be a little bit too big for the Texans, and that's kind of how it looked. No shame to them, though. They had a fantastic season.
Tyler, you hate the Ravens. You want to add anything about them winning?
It sucks. It's not fun to see.
But they also played a division rival of yours, so you really were going to no win there? I don't know.
Yeah, but I was very vocal about I feel like every fan has that one team in their division that unless you're a fan of that team, that you're like, you low-key root for because they're kind of trash, and they've been trash. Every division has one, and the Texans are that team for me. That's why, like, Cody, I'm sure it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to see the Lions go on and win it, even though it's a division rival. It's still like this team that's been bad forever. It's kind of cool to see them go on and do something. So that's how the Texans were for me. They've been bad for so long. They've never won a Super Bowl in their history. I was kind of just rooting for a team that's never won it to get there. So it would have been cool. I was also rooting for the Bills, but, we'll get to that later.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Lions, and I used to think I didn't care about the Lions, but now that the Packers lost and they are winning on and they're getting closer and closer, it's become a little bit more like, do I actually want them to succeed? Like, but do I want the 49ers to succeed? But I guess that transitioned us to that Lions-Buccaneers game, right? Packers 49ers were next. Maybe I just don't want to talk about that one because that one still hurts. As obviously Packers fan, resident at the Couch GMs podcast, a game that they were better than the 49ers, which was kind of surprising for 55 minutes, but the last 5 minutes fell apart. Missed a kick, then played soup soft on defense. And the 49ers looked like the team that rested for a while. They came out really sloppy, and then it started to click. So I think they're going to have a better performance next week. But yeah, tough to see the Green Bay Packers lose, but I think we're good for the future. I really like how this team came on late down the stretch.
I feel like the 49ers we kind of expected to be good, so there's no surprise that they did go on and win. It's more of a surprise at how good the Packers looked. Because the Packers, I mean, we kind of looked at them like they just squeaked into the playoffs and, they really shouldn't have been there anyway. And then they go ahead and dominate the Cowboys, and you're like, all right, well, that was a nice little
That was still
fluke. But then they
beautiful.
go on and look really good against the 49ers. And I remember, Cody, I texted you in the middle of the game saying, are the Packers just riding some kind of a high, or are they actually this good? And you said a little bit of both. You want to explain?
Yeah, so obviously, like this team was 2-5, 3-6, 6-6. Like they had gotten hot. They had won their last 3 games. They had needed some help. They were a 9-8 team, so they were definitely playing their best football late, which we always talk about is the key to making a run in the playoffs is playing your best football. Why we're not seeing the Dolphins right now? They peaked a little bit too early. The Packers seemed to peak at the right time, which gave us hope. But this team, it's the youngest team in the NFL. They're young, they're talented. There's a lot of things to be excited about and being good. I mean, Jordan Love just played one of the best stretches of quarterback ever with 21-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Like, incredible run for him. So I think that's a lot to build on. So I think there was a lot to, build on, but I think they were definitely on a little bit of a hot streak. And I think I said that same thing. The defense is still bad. And at the end of the day, you have 5 minutes left. You need to stop from the defense after special teams, which is also still bad. Should have said that too. Misses a kick, and they couldn't get it done. So, and they fired their defense coordinator because of it.
There's still a lot, like you said, a lot to like for the Packers going forward. They might have found their third franchise quarterback without skipping a beat again. So anyone who's out there tired of the Packers just doing it again and again, they've done it again. And we always know that the Packers strategy seems to be build guys in house, have good drafts, don't get a lot of exterior free agents. And if this is the youngest team in the NFL, mostly homegrown, out there competing in the divisional round when they should have still been rebuilding, I'm watching out for the next 2-3 years with them until they have to start signing some of these guys. If they keep making steps, that's a dangerous looking team.
Well, the big question is, so Jordan Love, he signed the extension before the year, so he technically has 1 year left on his deal. So he signed through 2024. But this offseason, you have to expect that he's going to get a top of market quarterback deal. Maybe not the highest paid quarterback, but he's definitely going to beat the $45 million that Daniel Jones got. So you're looking at 48 to 52 million, so they're already going to start, like, as soon as he signs that deal, the clock starts ticking. I mean, the clock's already ticking of the Super Bowl window being open back up before those other guys come into play, and they really have to make hard decisions.
Typically, you see teams that are able to make runs when somebody's near the end of their rookie deal, when they're not paying a quarterback a significant sum. Packers don't get that luxury the way that they drafted Jordan Love so long ago, let him sit behind Rodgers. Obviously, he's probably a more put together quarterback because of it, but it complicates that window for sure because you're relying a lot more on young talent in that first window than you are normally if you're a team like the Bengals, what they did with Burrow, the Ravens with Lamar, etc.
Well, that's probably enough that game. So now we can talk about the Lions and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And really, for me, I mean, that was a good game and all, but the mishaps in the last 60 seconds, whether it was the Lions snapping the ball too early, then the Buccaneers not calling a timeout on third down when they would have forced them to kick a long field goal or punt with 37 seconds left, only down by a touchdown. Like, definitely, I mean, not trying to get conspiracy, but that was definitely some weird shadiness. Like, how do you not give your team every opportunity to go block a kick or something when you're only down 7?
Not even block a kick. There was still like 35 seconds on the clock. That's have a chance to block a kick and then get into Hail Mary range too. Like, bad clock management by the Lions. Not going to happen again. But that, like we were talking about, is there going to be a letdown after they won their first playoff game since the 90s? That makes you feel even more. It's like, oh, was that their Super Bowl? Were they just like, oh my gosh, we won again. We're going to the conference championship for the first time since like 1991. They didn't even care about, like, handling the clock properly at the end of the game. Like, now are we going to see a letdown next week?
I mean, I guess that's to be determined. I mean, if we are going conspiracy and there is a script, nobody wanted to see the Bucks in it. Nobody cared about the Bucks. Everybody likes everyone's favorite underdog, the Lions, and that's the team that the media has been following. And so it's not surprising that they moved on. But honestly,
But the Bucks are red.
conspiracies aside, yes, so are the Chiefs. Conspiracies aside, the Lions are the better team. I'm sorry for Mocha, my dog, who just wants to be on the podcast.
We love Mocha, so it's fine.
She loves being a pest. So, but yeah, the Lions are the better team. The Lions should have won from the beginning. The fact that it was so close, I think it was surprising to me because I thought every game was going to be a little bit more of a blowout. Like I thought the 49ers were going to blow out the Packers a little bit more. I thought the Lions were going to blow out the Bucks a little bit more. The only game that I really thought was going to be close was the Ravens, which ended up being the biggest blowout of all of them. So
yeah.
it made no sense to me. So I'm not doing very well at predicting so far in this playoffs, but still, I'm happy to see the Lions move on. And as hometown fans, it's cool to see Alex Anzalone, why missing product, played high school football against the kid, and he is now a starting middle linebacker for a team in the conference championship. And then a guy that we got to interview for a college documentary, a guy that was with us at our college, is scored a touchdown. Craig Reynolds, shout out to the Kutztown Golden Bears. It's cool to see the hometown guys performing in the playoffs. It's super cool. It's a small world.
Gives us the extra little connection to the Lions. Not that like two of us really needed it, because I know Tyler and I typically root for the underdog, and the Lions have been bad for so long. But I understand why Cody has a little bit more reserve being a Packers fan.
Yeah, good. You know what? I hope Craig wins.
Yeah,
do it for Craig. There you go.
I'll root for Craig.
If you're listening, Craig Reynolds, shout out. But you said that the game you thought was going to be close was Ravens Texans. Were you just not counting Bills Chiefs yet, or do you think that was going to be a blowout too?
I wouldn't say blowout. I just thought whatever team was supposed to win was going to take the advantage and keep it all game, and it wasn't. It was going to be more one-sided. Obviously, there was the potential for the back and forth and the close game. I mean, it's two great teams, two great quarterbacks. You kind of expect that kind of thing, but I just feel like the way that this season's been falling, I was hoping that it was going to fall the Bills' way, but it ended up being the Chiefs again. And we get to see more Taylor Swift shots in the conference championship now. Kind of over
5 straight AFC championship games for the Chiefs too. 6. Oh, see, it's even worse than I thought.
I mean, it's pretty impressive though.
Yeah, I just feel like we're in another wave of Brady.
It's impressive. I don't care about impressive though. I care about entertainment factor. I was tired of Tom Brady being in the conference championship or Super Bowl every single year. I was tired of, in NASCAR, Jimmy Johnson winning 6 straight championships. I mean, I was tired of the Yankees who won every single year, but you don't want to see that one same team win every single year. It just ruins the sport. Do you want to be able to see other teams compete, other teams get there, and to just see the Chiefs year after year after year, it's killing the joy for me. And I feel like that's part of the reason I've been a little bit more distant with football this year. I want to see something different.
Well, you might get Ravens 49ers, which we saw just 10 years ago. So is that different enough?
We'll see if the power stays on for it, if it is. But I guess that's different because at least it's been 10 years, and at least the Chiefs wouldn't be in it. But it's still not a Super Bowl I'd hope to see. I want to see the Lions win it all at this point. Honestly, that's the team I'm rooting for. I was rooting for the Lions and the Bills. I wanted to see a new team win it, and now I'm just rooting for the Lions.
Rooting for the underdog. I appreciate it for sure. If that wraps up our divisional round reactions, we can move on to some coaching updates. We had some news that broke right before the show. We'll save that one. It's a little teaser. Starting off with the Raiders, who did not screw up this time and retained Antonio Pierce, knocking off the interim tag, naming him their head coach. Any reactions other than them not screwing up?
They did something right. I mean, it was the most obvious move. And I'm not even saying that like he has 3 years locked in, right? Like if he's a one and done, quote unquote, technically, would not be surprised. But what he meant to that locker room, I mean, he had, you know, players coming out and being like, yeah, it's either him or I'm asking to be traded. He has so much respect in the locker, like he had to get the job. So you never know with Mark Davis, and he seemed to make the right decision.
Yeah, good move. I don't really have much to say on it.
You might have more to say about the next move, which is your Tennessee Titans signing Brian Callahan as their head coach, former Bengals offensive coordinator. I know your initial reactions were very mixed. Now that you've had time to think about it, what are your thoughts?
Mixed.
Okay, that hasn't changed much. Okay, explain.
So I'm not thrilled with the hire. I was kind of hoping for Bobby Slowick to be the hire. So to see us make a decision on head coach, even though Slowick is still out there, it's a little disappointing. I'm not even saying Slowick is going to be like this end all be all head coach. I just liked him. So I guess from what I read, the Titans had Brian Callahan as their number one option. Like it was him or bust. And they, once other head coaches started finding jobs, getting second interviews, they wanted to move quickly on their top option. So they had Callahan was the first person they interviewed, first person they requested an interview, first person they had a second interview with. When they went to have the second interview, his flight got canceled to Nashville to meet with the team. So Amy Adams Strunk actually sent her own private plane to go pick him up to fly him there because they wanted to see him that badly, and he didn't even leave the room before they offered him the job. So they wanted him. They went and got him. Look, the Bengals have had a great offense for the last few years, so it's hard to deny some of that. But I guess this year, you look at injuries or not, they had such great offensive weapons, and yet Callahan, and if they still had one of the bottom half offenses in the league, and Callahan also wasn't calling the offensive plays for the Bengals either. So an offensive coordinator who doesn't even call the plays, I mean, is he really the best option out there? Every Titans media that I've read is absolutely thrilled with the decision, thinks it's a genius move, and they're all excited. So I'm hoping they're right and I'm wrong. But right now, I'm not out on him. Obviously, he was a candidate for a reason, but I'm kind of in a wait and see kind of mentality.
Him not calling his own offensive plays isn't necessarily a bad thing as long as he's a good manager of coaches and players. Like he can get himself a young offensive coordinator who is either a stud play caller or is,
I would imagine
leaning
he's
towards
calling
being a
plays
stud
now.
play caller. And maybe there's also a chance that he does that and he succeeds, or he does that and he realizes that it's too much. And there's been plenty of head coaches that try to call their own plays, then pass it off to their offensive coordinator when they realize it's a lot to handling clock management, personnel, and calling plays on one side of the ball at the same time. But there's probably going to be some growing pains, but I think he's coming from a good pedigree. I mean, his father was a head coach too. And he's coming from a system and a team that was really putting it together and probably would have been a playoff team again this year if it wasn't for the Joe Burrow injury. So he's a winner. Let's see if he can carry it over into building his own regime as opposed to being an offensive coordinator.
Right, and Callahan has a long history of being great with quarterbacks and making quarterbacks successful. So we'll have to see what we can do with Will Levis and if he can take Will Levis to that next level. You mentioned his dad being a former NFL head coach. It's Bill Callahan, currently the offensive line coach for the Browns. There is rumors that the two of them have wanted to work together their entire career. So there's a chance that they try to get Bill Callahan over to the Titans to be the new offensive line coach. Obviously, it's just rumors. We'd have to actually see that happen before we can buy into it. But that would be a huge plus. Titans have had the worst offensive line in the league for the last 2 years. So that would be a major upgrade. I know he has ties to T. Higgins, and the Bengals were trying to shop him last season. So hopefully the Titans could bring in T. Higgins as well. But we'll have to wait and see what kind of moves will happen in the offseason. Like I said, I'm in a wait and see kind of mentality with him.
I think that's the appropriate approach. I think I was a little surprised too, as someone that's not as locked in on the Titans. Like I'm really intrigued to see if he's going to call plays or not.
He is. They did announce that.
that's what I thought. He is going to be the play caller. So I do understand the hesitations as a guy that's never called plays coming in to be a head coach and call plays for the first time. A lot of times, like you see people, have to prominent offensive minds that aren't the play callers leave and go somewhere else for a year to call plays to actually finally get over the hump. They're just trying to beat the curve, and maybe it'll work out for him.
I will say that the Titans have had one of the better defenses in the league over the last 5 years. All except 1 year, they had one of the worst defenses in the league, and that was the only year that Mike Vrabel called all defensive plays. Because trying to manage head coaching duties and call defensive plays, it ended up being too much, and Titans suffered for it. So I'm not always thrilled with head coaches calling plays. I feel like you bring in a coordinator for a reason, and but that's always been my mentality. Obviously, there's plenty of head coaches that have proved me wrong on that. That's just the way I feel.
Yeah, if you want to debate that, like I think that's good. I'm on the mindset that the head coach, I like if the head coach is offensive minded, I want him to call plays because if your offense is good, you're going to lose your coordinators and there's going to be a lot of change. And I like the consistency offense, defense, because defensive head coaches don't unfortunately get as many opportunities. I'm cool with the defensive minded head coach like a Mike Vrabel being the raw leader guy and having someone else up in the box calling plays on defense. It's kind of my 2 cents on should the head coach call plays or not.
It's not a bad mindset there. All right, guys, one more coaching hire that broke just before we're recording here Wednesday night. Chargers make official what we had seen coming in signing Jim Harbaugh to be their next head coach. He officially departs from Michigan after winning a national title, goes to LA to try to bring Justin Herbert to the next level. Was this the right fit?
I mean, they had to make a swing. Like they have Justin Herbert, they have the pieces, and I think for him it's going to be like he's not going to call plays, right? Like we just had this conversation. For him, it's that offensive coordinator / quarterback relationship is still going to be the most influential hire for him now. But he has the name recognition. He can probably pull anybody from college he wants. He could probably get any offensive coordinator he wants. They're going to give him full reign. Like I wouldn't be surprised if people follow him from Michigan. I'm not saying JJ McCarthy is the best prospect, but he developed really nicely out in Michigan too. So I think this is a great fit. I think this is pretty much where we all thought Harbaugh was going to end up. And I think it's one, good to have Harbaugh back in the NFL, and two, people need to realize that Michigan's going to get hit with some fines and stuff for potential issues after an NCAA investigation. So him getting out and potentially some of the other guys getting out before those come down, would not be surprised to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good hire. You're talking about a big name head coach, but you also got to remember he's been a head coach before. He's been in this position, so he has the experience of working in the NFL. Typically, you hire a college head coach, and sometimes there's a rough adjustment period, but he has the experience. He's back. We'll see if he fares a little bit better the second time around.
He was in a Super Bowl, the Super Bowl that was a loss to the Ravens. So he's had success as well. So it's nice to see that not only are they hiring someone with head coaching experience, they're hiring somebody that's been successful as a head coach as well. Would any of those college penalties follow him to the NFL? Would there be any repercussions if anything goes down? Would you know how that would work, Cody?
I guess no, I don't think there would be. Like maybe
Okay.
the team could technically like maybe fine him or suspend him for conduct detrimental to the team, but he wasn't part of the team when it happened. So I'm pretty sure he's gonna escape with the national title victory. And Michigan's gonna whatever comes out of that, and he'll be the head coach of the Chargers and just move on.
So Michigan won't be in the first year of the 12-team college football playoff, but everything else will be fine. That's just
they'll probably still
speculation.
be there.
All right, guys. That pretty much wraps up all our news. We have 2 games to talk about this week, so why don't we jump into some conference championship preview? I don't know why I just thought you spelled championship wrong on there, and I'm like, oh, there's Cody. But no, you spelled it right, so I just had to pick on you a little bit for thinking
You're just accustomed to spelling errors, and I understand.
Yeah.
I would be too.
Survivor picks all over again. I'm just kidding. It was actually spelled correctly. All right, I actually never checked which of these was the early game. I think I got it right on here. So, AFC title game is the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to the Baltimore Ravens. Chiefs now had Patrick Mahomes' first away game in the playoffs, and they did pull out that victory against Buffalo. He's now playing his second away game in the playoffs. Over under shots of Taylor Swift in the booth. We're going to set it at 8.5.
Is Jason there
Over.
too?
That's a great question. I would assume yes.
Because Jason dominated the camera from Taylor Swift in that game, which was incredible. That was so much fun. But
Peak Jason Kelce. Whether he retires or not now, we don't know exactly what's happening. That was peak Jason Kelce.
if Jason Kelce retires, I think because his contract's up, right? I'm sorry to derail this conversation.
Yes, it is.
So he would have to sign a new contract. So if he retires, he's technically a free agent. And let's just say something happened. I think he could potentially come back and play a year with the Chiefs. Like a mid-season come out, I'm going to do one last run with the Chiefs. It would break Philadelphia's heart, but play with his brother for a year. So that's my thinking. Now they have Creed Humphrey, who's a really good center, so they don't actually need him. But like if he would get hurt in training camp or first couple weeks of the season, like I think that's a possibility.
I'm just not going to think about that.
As an Eagles fan, I don't blame you.
I could see it.
Yeah.
Quick stirring the pot, just trying to get people heated that are listening to this because that's my favorite thing to do. Is Jason Kelce is a phenomenal center. Don't get me wrong. He's great. However, would he be even remotely as popular or important or considered as great as he is now if he didn't wear a mummer's outfit and give a speech?
I think it would put him to another level. I mean, I know he was talked about here before then, but on a national level, I don't really know if he would have this, what haze around. Like, hit that between that and his brother being the number one tight end in the league, and it's a position that isn't cherished, and then them two starting their podcast and everything else. Like, I think that speech started it off, and he did have a lot of local fame, but I think nationally you have a point.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think so. Like, if you asked me, he's still been a Hall of Famer. I think the people that vote on that watch the football would be like, yeah, he is one of the best centers to ever do it, especially athleticism wise and pulling and stuff that we don't traditionally see from centers. Like even at 36, he's still one of the most. I think he's 36, maybe he's 38. One of the most athletic centers in the NFL. But I think he's really great at marketing. Like I think the whole Mummers thing has not hurt his image. I think the whole starting a podcast, the Super Bowl run last year against his brother, like have not hurt his case at all. He might not have been first ballot, but I don't think there's any way he's not now. Just because not that the Hall of Fame should be a marketing tool, but they have a weekend about it, and they'll want to put Jason Kelce on that stage having a speech as soon as he's eligible.
Fair enough.
So back on track here then. We got Chiefs at Ravens. And I mean, I think we were all of us at least were hoping the Bills would pull it through. We didn't know if the Chiefs were going to start to get it together in the playoffs. And now that we're 2 games through, it seems like they are figuring it out. Mahomes at least looks like it's better. There's less drops from the receivers, and the defense hasn't dropped off one bit. So who do we even pick in this one, seeing the Ravens still clicking, but the Chiefs starting to look more like the traditional Chiefs?
I think the Ravens are still the favorite to win it all. I mean, they've played all 3 of these teams before. They beat them. And the games against the 49ers and the Lions, they weren't even close. Actually, I don't think they played the Chiefs this
They did not play the Chiefs.
It was the Bills, I think they played, and they had beaten them pretty good, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I think the way their defense is playing, their offense is playing, they're still the favorites. Like, they're still the team to quote-unquote beat left in the playoffs, in my opinion. But as we've seen, if you have an elite quarterback, a good defense, and capable passing options, one of the best coaches. This is what makes the NFL so magical. It's not the 7-game series, right? It's not, oh, well, the best team is probably going to win because they have to beat them 4 out of 7. No, this is one and done. Like, honestly, like we talked about the Packers, if the Packers and Cowboys played 7 times, I don't think the Packers win that series. But they got them on that day. Just like I don't think the game would be close to the Packers and 49ers all 7 games. They probably wouldn't even go 7. I think that the Ravens would beat the Chiefs in 7, but can they beat them in 1? I think that's definitely an interesting question.
I know you guys raggle me for being negative, and you tell me I got to stop being so negative, but I could not care less about this game. I might not even watch it. I hate both of these teams with a passion. I hope they both lose. Whoever wins, I'm rooting against in the Super Bowl, regardless of who wins the other game. So
you should root
I
for the
don't know.
Chiefs.
I guess the Ravens are the better team. I mean, I heard Gronk's speech after the game where he said nobody's better than Ravens. The Ravens are winning it all. It doesn't even matter. So I guess I heard that, and I feel like the Ravens are the better team, but
And they're purple.
It doesn't matter.
Does it not matter though? Because it's been 4 out of 5 years.
For what, the Chiefs?
No, the Super Bowl logo.
The Super Bowl logo, and it's purple and red. So Chiefs are Ravens 49ers. Chalk.
Probably.
No, I get what you're saying though. It's because, especially you, like, you don't like the Ravens. You're tired. You've been very vocal on this podcast, in our group chats, all of that, how much you're not looking forward to the Chiefs winning, the success. So I completely get where you're coming from. But I also know you and know it's playoff football. So you're going to throw a couple first score touchdown bets on there. You're going to get stuck in the game. And then you're going to get frustrated because how close it is. And then probably turn it off, but then keep checking your phone to see what the score updates are. So that's Tyler on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, actually.
What time's the game?
3.
Damn it. All right. If it was later, I would say, yeah, the other game I might be in bed before the end. We'll see, but it sucks. I wish they were flip-flopped. I could definitely go to bed during the game.
No. Sorry. But anyway, it is I'm also going to pick the Ravens in this one, in a close one. But I think the Chiefs have really closed the gap from where I thought they were from the beginning of the playoffs. And we can move on to the NFC Championship. The Detroit Lions traveling out to San Francisco to play the 49ers. And I really want to believe this game is going to be close, but I keep having this gut feeling that the Lions are going to get the letdown.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't have that feeling.
But if Debo doesn't play, then
that's important for sure.
If Debo doesn't play, then I think the 49ers are a lot more human than we're giving them credit. And I think the Lions are explosive, just like the 49ers are. So I think it's going to be a lot closer game than you're thinking. Right now, the spread is at 7, by the way.
I'm interested to see how much that changes if Debo doesn't go. Like, I think they're still 50-50 on it because he hasn't participated. But yeah, no, it's a good point, because when you think about it, the 49ers went on a 3-game losing streak earlier in the season that people tend to forget about because it was, really early. I think 2.5 of those games were without Debo. Like, he means a lot more than people like to believe he means to this offense. Like, it is Christian McCaffrey, but I think it's even more Debo just being able to move around everywhere and open things up.
For the sports fans out there, the sports bettors, I should say, it's Baltimore by 3.5 is the betting lines right now for the other game.
So they're giving a half point over the home team thing. But yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Juwan Jennings, so I'd like to see him get some more touches and more playing time, but I don't want it to come at the expense of Deebo Samuel, so that is unfortunate. I want to know what happened to Brandon Ayuk. I was expecting a lot more from him in the playoffs because he's been so big all year, and then we go into the playoffs, Deebo gets hurt, and it's Juwan Jennings. Like, it's not Deebo. I mean, it's not Ayuk.
Yeah, I think it's just because people are trying to take away Ayuk, honestly. I think that's the guy that they're focusing on. And that's why George Kittle has been doing better as of late. Christian McCaffrey, so Christian McCaffrey, like there's no stopping him. And they're like, okay, we're going to take away Brandon Ayuk. But Juwan Jennings has always been for them like really good on third down. Before it was him, it was Nick Bourne. That's not right. The dude that's in New England right now, whatever his first name is, Bourne. He used to be
Kendrick Bourne.
That guy. Thank you. He was really good on third down, and that's kind of what Juwan Jennings has been. He's been like that third down reliable option, like third option. But if Debo's out, like this could be a big Brandon Ayuk game for them. But I'm with you. I don't think this game is going to be a blowout. I don't think the Lions are going to get us a letdown. For me, it comes down to the pass rush of the San Francisco 49ers versus the offensive line for the Detroit Lions, and then vice versa, because I think both Jared Goff and Purdy have shown that they are good quarterbacks when they have a clean pocket. But if you get pressure on them, they'll start making some inconsistent throws and potentially causing turnovers. So whether it's Nick Bosa or Aiden Hutchinson, can take advantage of the other one's offensive line, I think is going to be the real difference maker in this game.
So Cody's expecting a more sloppy game. Sorry, go ahead, Tyler.
One random fact I'd like to throw out there that I just find interesting. I guess not random fact, but whatever. So you know how they say defense wins championships, right? Maybe some other position wins championships. If you had to tell me right now who the 4 best tight ends in the NFL are, who would you say?
The 4 best tight ends in the NFL right now?
That's
all healthy, because I'm assuming you want me to throw in Andrews here.
All healthy. Yep, all healthy.
So
Andrews.
It'd be Kittle. Andrews, Kelsey, Kittle, and
Laporta is probably.
I would say Hawkinson healthy, but
yeah.
I get what you're going at.
I think what Laporta has done this year has shown that he is right up there with TJ Hawkinson, and you can definitely make an argument. The only thing you can argue against Laporta is sample size. That's pretty much it. Outside of that, I think the 4 best tight ends in the NFL are all in the playoffs right now.
Yeah,
there were 4 out of the only 5 good tight ends.
Yeah. Well, I mean, then you think like the next tier of tight ends were all basically in the playoffs too. You saw Goddard, you saw Njoku, who had the big breakout this year. Like we were naming down, like, who do you think could possibly be the top 10 tight ends next year in the group chat? And when you think about it, I think maybe 9 of them were in the playoffs and one of them was named Hawkinson. So yeah, it is maybe a more important position than we give it credit for, because we're always so frustrated about it talking in terms of fantasy. And the only thing that goes against your argument is the fact that Andrews has missed time. But even yet, like, they've got a good fill-in with Likely, and Andrews still gives them a huge boost. And he actually should be back this game.
Yeah, and I think Isaiah Likely, if he played a full season, fully healthy, would be right up there in the same mix. Personally, I believe, like, he showed it last year when Andrews was out, and he's been showing it this year. In the little bit of time that Andrews has been out, Isaiah Likely is also a very good tight end. And once Andrews finally moves on, Likely is going to be a huge fantasy option.
Yeah, and then also, since we're just, talking random stuff with this game in particular, I know this is traditionally talked about on Thanksgiving because the Lions are 0-13 since the NFL merger when there's a waxing gibbous moon on Thanksgiving. We talked about that a lot. I hate to break it to you. It is a waxing gibbous moon on Sunday. So maybe only a Thanksgiving curse, and Lions fans will be like, don't worry about it. We can win during non-Thursday games, but there is one on Sunday. So take that with a grain of salt. Maybe want to throw a bet towards San Francisco on the waxing gibbous intuition. Go for it.
This is coming from a guy who probably wishes he took meteorology in college, and instead he sat with Tyler and I in dinosaurs.
This man couldn't pronounce half the things in meteorology. Come on now.
He couldn't pronounce half the things in dinosaurs.
This is fair.
I think I have a better chance of rain, snow, wind. Likely.
He's taking the easy
ones.
Yeah,
that's all
cop out. Yeah.
Hey, all meteorologists, I want you to watch this podcast and message in that Cody thinks that all meteorology is rain, snow, and wind.
And
You just struggled
Did
to
you go
say
check out the
waxing
cumulus
gibbous.
clouds outside yesterday? Like,
I didn't struggle to say waxing gibbous. I struggled to say intuition.
which is
You're so
probably an easier word, which makes it worse.
Probably.
We mentioned fantasy. Why don't we jump in, guys, to our conference championship DFS face?
Nobody made pick for this game.
Oh,
we supposed to?
49ers.
Well, we all picked the Ravens. Well, you said you didn't care. But we've been making picks.
All right, Lions.
You
Go
said
Craig.
49ers.
I said 49ers.
I'm going to take the 49ers too, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than that 7.5, which I don't understand. But now, George, you want me to hit the bumper?
Yeah, hit that button. All right, guys. So just like we have done in the past few weeks since week 18, we are going to be doing a DFS showdown. The three of us are going to name our lineups here on the show, and we're going to have you guys guess on social media who you think is going to score the most. But you can join us as well in our group. We're going to put the link to that group in our description of our show or podcast, wherever you're listening or watching. So make sure you guys go check that out. Join us before it fills up. It fills up pretty quick. So go check it out. Tyler, you are on the show this time. You can announce your lineup straight instead of having us do it. Why don't you do the honors? And we're going to start at the top, announce your quarterback and value on that.
All right, I got Jared Goff at 6,300. I honestly feel like all four quarterbacks will be doing just fine, so I took the most valuable quarterback out there.
I agreed with Tyler. I also took Jared Goff at 6,300. I was originally going somewhere else, and then when I saw my lineup broke out, I was like, yeah, no, the value quarterback should be fine.
I spent $100 more and took Brock Purdy.
All right.
And I do still have $100 available, so if I wanted to switch, I could switch to Brock Purdy.
Good note. Okay, Tyler. Running back one. What do you got?
I got Christian McCaffrey, best player on the board.
I also spent up and got Christian McCaffrey. I feel like with 2 games, it was worth the buy up, even though I haven't been doing that in past weeks. I know you did that, Tyler, in past weeks. So, yeah, I spent the $9,000 and went Christian McCaffrey. Also, $9,000 for one player is ridiculous.
Yeah. So since you all took him, I literally just did a hot swap because I also had him, but just to change it up, I took so I went all the way from $9,000 to 4,500, and took Clyde Edwards-Helaire, expecting Pacheco not to play.
It's a good value if he doesn't play. I want to know where you spent. I'm interested to see where he spent up if he dropped all that money. RB2, Tyler.
I got Jahmyr Gibbs at 6,400.
Tyler over here copying my lineup. 6,400 Jahmyr Gibbs stacked with Goff. Cody.
I have the other Lions running back at 5,600 and David Montgomery.
Not Craig? What are you doing?
You want me to take Craig? I'll switch it.
This dude's going to
That's
have
fine.
like $7,000 left in his budget. Be like, I'm good.
All right. Hang on. I got to find Craig.
He's literally changing his lineup on the fly.
Yep. We're doing it. He's 4,100.
I changed my lineup on the fly, too. I went Brock Purdy because so far I have the exact same lineup as George, and I don't like it. So I now have Purdy instead of Goff.
This is going as an absolute disaster, as I would hope it would. Wide receiver one, please don't have the same one as me.
Zay Flowers.
Oh, shut up. No way.
Yeah, Zay Flowers, man.
Yeah, Zay Flowers, 5,800. That's the same with me. Cody.
Yeah. I have Ross St. Brown, 7,900.
That's one of his spend
There's
ups.
the
So,
yeah.
Yep. Okay. Cool. Wide receiver 2, Tyler.
I talked about him earlier. I'm a huge fan of him, and I don't think Debo's going to play, so I'm going Juwan Jennings.
I'm not even going to say my lineup, Cody.
My next guy is Rashee Rice, 6,500.
I know there's got to be a difference somewhere because of how much money we got left, but Tyler and I literally chalk all the way through except for him changing over to Purdy. Wide receiver 3.
I got Detroit wide receiver Jameson Williams. I know he doesn't get a whole lot of targets. I know he hasn't been doing phenomenal, but I know that he is flash option, and he has been a target in the red zone lately. So Jameson.
I went with the Detroit Lions wide receiver that has been more consistent, but maybe not the flash guy, Josh Reynolds at 4,000. So there's the difference.
Jameson is 3,700. If I didn't say that, sorry.
Okay, so I spend up slightly more on that one.
Yeah, so correction. I thought I had Rashee Rice. I don't, because I had to move some stuff around to take Craig and get more money. So that last
Just
one
cut and restart on this whole thing. Now what?
was OBJ. And then right now I have Brandon Ayuk at 6,900, a nice 6,900. So
Nice.
Amra, Brandon Ayuk, OBJ.
Okay. He's taking the guy that's disappeared, hoping he comes back. That's a bold strategy, Cotton, especially for a nice 6,900. Tight end, the position that Tyler's been hyping up. We got.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with the guy who hasn't been there. I got Mark Andrews at 5,000. And if he does not go, Isaiah likely is less expensive than Mark Andrews. So I can switch it.
I was the person that tried to take Mark Andrews last week and had to switch it to George Kittle because he did not play. So I like the move. You know, you got to think they're going to try to get him involved. I went with the rookie sensation that Tyler was hyping up as being a top 4 tight end, Sam Laporta at 5,400. So I'm stacking some Lions here. Cody?
George Kittle, 5,300.
Right. And then two spots left, flex and defense. Starts with the flex, Tyler.
I got Rashee Rice at 6,500 in my flex.
Nice. I've actually got a 2 tight end stack going on here. I have George Kittle at 5,300 in my flex.
I as well have 2 tight ends, Travis Kelce.
So he did the buy up tight end too. So that's the 2 places where he spent money was that and Amra. Defense, and then I went middle of the road with defense and took the Chiefs at 2,900.
I feel like all 4 teams are offensive powerhouses, and all 4 defenses have the potential for defensive points. So I didn't care where I went. So I went Lions. It's the cheapest one at 2,600.
I went with the Ravens at 3,200, and I just want to say about any rumors. I had Amra and McCaffrey on my original lineup, so I had to find other things to. I had a lot of flow guys, but that's how it started. But I don't have McCaffrey anymore, and I got Kelce, OBJ, and Ayuk out of it. So a 3-for-1 deal.
That's the balance you play when you are playing daily fantasy. So
It
let
used to be,
let us know.
It used to be MVS and Mecole Hardman, so that's where I upgraded.
Yeah, I think you ended up a little bit better there, honestly. Guys, let us know what your lineups are. Make sure you join our group quickly because it does fill up fast. And we'll see. And let us know who do you think wins out of the 3 of us. We'll post our TikTok or short wherever you watch us before the game starts, so you have a chance to see our lineups in front of you. Because Tyler's back, we have one more thing before we go. I hope you missed it. It is Tyler's Oddball Fact of the Day.
And that music is so interesting. Like I feel like I need to have a pipe. It's like you come back from it and just be like, well, hello there. My oddball fact. Like I gotta sell this. Maybe
That
next
was my
season.
that was my vibe of little pipe, very classical.
I'll get one of those bubble pipes. Like it looks like a pipe, but you blow bubbles out of it. I'll get one of those. I'm
I
sure
love it.
Hobby Lobby has it. I'm sure. Not a sponsor. So my oddball fact for the day, with the Super Bowl coming up, we all know that the Super Bowl has the Vince Lombardi Trophy. We all know that the Super Bowl also comes with rings. All the players get their Super Bowl rings that they like to show off. However, everyone employed by the winning team's organization typically receives a ring, from front office staff to maintenance crew, making the victory even sweeter. So, fun little piece that I did not know.
Even
it's like
that's impressive and really freaking cool.
The NFL basically turns into the Oprah of rings. You get a ring. You get a ring. Everybody's getting a ring.
So I do believe, and I'm not saying you might want to fact check this, but I do believe there is a players and personnel ring, and then there is a everybody else ring. So the flashy, all the diamonds that you see the players get, they get that, but they get like a commemorative ring for everybody else.
Right. Yeah, they're not giving out the
but-
big, expensive, flashy ring to every single person, but it's just the fact that everybody does get a ring.
So, but fun fact, the Cleveland Cavaliers, I know we don't typically talk about basketball, when LeBron came back and won the championship for the first time in Cleveland, the owner got everybody the nice ring because the guy serving the beer at the game I went to was rocking his ring. Now, I was sitting in the lower section, so it wasn't the concourse area, so it wasn't as many people, but he had one of them nice fancy ones. So props to, maybe it was made with fake diamonds. That's how the owner pulled it out. But so it's not impossible.
Basketball rosters are also smaller. Like you're buying 53 players plus practice squads a ring for the NFL, and basketball squads are what, 15?
Do you think the owners? That's a great question. Does the team pay for the championship rings, or is that a prize from the NFL?
Well, I know that the league supplies. So for the NFL specifically, the Lombardi Trophy is like a thing I believe that gets passed, but like a team can buy a Lombardi Trophy for like their own display. So I would assume that means the team would have to buy the rings too.
Interesting. The more you know,
Definitely Googling
the more you wonder. All right, I'll give you 30 seconds to see if you can Google, do the teams pay
They are bought, paid for, and presented by the team.
With all that extra money they make from all that extra publicity from playing the extra games and the Super Bowl being a skeptical in its own. Do they give interns rings? Didn't we have an intern friend from when we were in college that worked for the Eagles the year? Shout out to Josh Hawkins.
Sorry, a little bit more of a breakdown. The NFL contributes $5,000 to $7,000 per ring for up to 150 rings per team, but the average cost for the team comes out to $30,000 and to $50,000 per ring.
Those rings are worth like $60,000.
Yes,
some of them at least. I've seen them, but like it's still hard to believe. Like that's like more than my life is worth.
So I believe as a quote unquote Packers owner, if the Packers were to win the Super Bowl, I would have the ability to buy one of the the commemorative type rings that the grounds crew and kind of people would get. So that's a fun fact too.
Man, it's been a while since we heard Tyler's fun fact, so we're just
dude, I know
throwing out all the knowledge.
I have so many more questions, but I think we'll take those off air.
That's what I'm here for, guys. I bring the crazy.
Hey, dude, we definitely enjoyed. That's the wrong music.
That is the intro music. We're starting over. Maybe 3 more minutes.
Hour 2 coming up. It's not much different. It's pretty much the same. But as always, Tyler, it's great to have you back. We've missed you. Glad you could join us. Mocha giving some kisses. She's proud of you too. As always, follow us on social media at the Couch GMs, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, TikTok, all those good places. I'm Cody Roadcap. That's George Kerth and Tyler Snyder, and we'll talk to you all next week.